Goffstown Conservation Commission meeting, August 15th, present are. Present.
Present. Collis Adams, Selectmen's Rep.
Nick Campusano.
Patty Gale staff.
Jean Walker.
Chuck Freiberger.
Susan Tucker.
Gene, I was distracted. I just got an email from Amy Pollock, says she won't be here unless we need her for a quorum.
Okay. We'll be all set right now. Okay, first on the agenda, we have Andy, who's going to speak to us about river and land conservation.
Andy Carteret. Hello, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. My name is Andy Carteret, and I am the Goffstown representative for the Piscataquag River Local Advisory Committee. There's 2 representatives in Goffstown, and I'm coming here to talk to you about the 2010 River Management Plan update and the Piscataquag Watershed Land Conservation Plan. I know that you had done a letter and you had submitted it to the Planning Board, which we're going to be talking to tomorrow. We're looking to have both those plans, ideally adopted as part of the master plan. And I had gotten a copy of the letter that you had sent to the Planning Board, and I'm just asking if you could perhaps review that and in the wording of it, it was unclear as to, because the 2 plans are kind of being presented together, how you stand on both plans, and hopefully get you to recommend that it be adopted as part of the master plan. In the wording of the letter, you had stated that at the January 25th, 2012 meeting, the Conservation Commission voted to recommend that the Planning Board adopt the 2010 Piscataquag River Management Plan and the Piscataquag Land Conservation Plan without the co-occurrence model as documents to be used as reference. And our hope as a Piscataquag River Local Advisory Committee is that they adopt them not as reference, but as part of the master plan. In it, you go on to state, the Commission strongly feels that at this time, these documents, it says documents, should not be adopted as part of the master plan, but as reference documents. And I just kind of wanted to touch base on the documents. The original master Piscataquag River Management Plan was originally part of the master plan. And it was voted, I don't know if you got the minutes, but in May 18th, 2000, the Conservation, or the Planning Board had voted to adopt it as part of the master plan. It looked like this, so I don't know if you saw it. And what we did with the 2010 is simply update it and make it current. We really didn't change any, so I don't know if you've seen the 2 documents, but what we did is we updated the, some of the laws had changed since 2000 to 2010, so we updated what the laws are so that they were current. We updated some of the text that was in here that was outdated. So it's virtually the same plan. So I'm hoping that you could recommend this one to be adopted as part of the master plan as it is right now. Part of the old version is part of the master plan. And then the co-occurrence model on the Piscataquag Watershed Land Conservation Plan, they have removed that now. So I'm not sure if you have reviewed it without the co-occurrence model, and if you have, are you willing to recommend it as part of the master plan as opposed to just a reference doc now that that's been removed? So that's my questions to you and hopes. So
Well, the river plan hasn't changed at all?
the
Just with the updates, right?
It's been updated,
Updated,
right.
so-
So there was laws that have changed since then, and actually, the laws have changed again since we did this in 2010. So this is really meant to be it's really meant to be a document that communities can go by to quickly say, okay, this is what's out there on the books now, this is the steps we have to take, this is how the river is to be looked at and
Taken care of.
taken care of, right.
Anybody have any questions on David?
I'd just like to review for discussion our last vote, and my question is, do we really have a substantive difference here, or was it just a matter of semantics that when we cast the vote, our vote was to adopt them as reference documents, and the request is to just recommend to adopt them as part of the master plan as opposed to the reference documents? When something is adopted as part of the master plan, it usually gets added as an appendix at the end, like our open space plan, for example. I don't remember what we actually meant by the words reference document. Did we mean something different, or
I
It should
think
be
we just-
referenced, not as part of the master plan.
But I don't think it, semantics again, I don't think it, I'm not sure it makes any difference. We want it certainly to be considered as part of the planning process.
Right.
And whether it's, I mean, I guess since it was part of the plan before, I'm sort of inclined to leave it that way. At least the river management plan part, which is
Yeah.
more
The
familiar
river
with.
part.
I guess what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is, did we use a phrase which has led to confusion, or did we actually mean something different? Because I don't,
I was under the impression tonight you were just coming to ask for the update to be adopted. And talking with Southern New Hampshire Planning, I think they're even proposing it at the second one without the co-occurrence models,
Correct.
which everyone has reviewed, and that's what they voted on,
Correct?
as a reference document. I believe they're gonna request that be adopted that way as well.
I don't know the answer to that. I think we would want all this to be adopted as part of the master plan. I'm not an attorney, but I think there's more weight to a document if it's part of a master plan. In the letter you sent, you said very specifically, the river management plan and the Piscataquag land watershed plan without the concurrence model to be adopted as reference docs. And then at the end, you say, the commission strongly feels that at this time, these documents should not be adopted as part of the master plan, but as reference documents.
Yeah, and I
that's where
thought
it
you were
concerns.
breaking them up and requesting that we do the update as part of the master plan, and we weren't even discussing the land conservation plan.
Right, it seemed like the river plan, we kind of said that could be adopted as part of the master plan, but then the land was more of a reference?
Because of the inadequate data that you,
Right. Yeah, David?
can someone define the difference to me between adopting it as part of the plan and adopting it as a reference document? Because I'm not, the more I think about it, I'm not really sure what the difference means. Since that's what we're
Would make a
discussing
difference
to
to
change.
the planning
I
board?
just think it adds greater strength to it.
Yes.
It gives it greater importance when it's actually adopted as part of the master plan, and I think it should be. I know my recollection was that our angst was relative to the co-occurrence model. That
Which
didn't
was
adequately reflect,
removed
which has
due to
now
that-
been removed.
that review.
And I think that maybe, in my recollection was that played into this whole recommended as a reference versus adopted as part of the master plan. With that removed, I think it ought to go into the master plan. This is an important document. The river's important to our community, and the PERLAC does an awful lot of work supporting the river and the health of the river and the vitality of the watershed. And, I think it ought to be included in our master plan as our open space plan is. I think I think it has the same level of importance.
So do we have, yes, Susan?
I agree with Hollis, and I was at the meeting, and I think that was, we used the word reference because we were concerned about the data in the co-occurrence part of it, that the data wasn't correct. So I think that's why we threw that word in, because we knew there was something missing. But now that they've taken that out, we had no qualms with the river management
We never
plan.
did with the
We never
river
did.
man.
We never did.
But even at the time we did that vote, the co-occurrence had already been removed.
It'd been removed. So
I just couldn't remember why we had worded it that
I'd make
way.
a motion
Go ahead,
Then-
have a motion? Susan?
that we accept the Piscataquag River Management Plan. And what was the name of the other part?
The other one is the Piscataquag, so I mean, I want to be clear, because you were saying there's confusion. This is the
Yeah.
Piscataquag Watershed
Watershed
Land Conservation
Conservation
Plan
Plan.
without the co-occurrence model.
Without the co-occurrence, as part of our master plan.
so you're gonna recommend it
We recommend.
to the planning board. So we'll have to give it to them for tomorrow.
Board.
You got-
Anybody else want to add
You have,
anything?
you have two of them.
Do you need a date on that one, 2010?
The
plan?
2010 plan.
Yeah, that's the river management plan.
Then you have this one too, did you?
Second.
Did you get all the correction there?
Yeah, and the planning board has them too.
Okay.
So I'll do another letter to them, so I'll have it tomorrow at the meeting saying that you now recommend both documents.
We'll take a vote on this, please. All those in favor?
That's true, you need a second.
We have a second. Oh, Chuck? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
was quick.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in and getting that squared away.
Thank you very much.
We have a request for property that belongs to Alice Fiora. Do we have someone representing? This property is owned and it's seeking a variance for a special exception to demolish and rebuild a single-family home on a non-conforming lot. The variances are needed because the house will be placed up to 26.8 feet from the edge of the Piscataquag River, whereas section 13.334 of the zoning ordinance requires a 100-foot setback from surface waters. And because the property house will be 7.4 feet from the side property line, whereas section 14.733 of the zoning ordinance requires special exceptions, the use of the non-conforming lot confront to the front side and rear side requiring, and whereas section 4.3 of the zoning ordinance requires a side setback of 15 feet. The special exception is needed because the lot is non-conforming. So do we have, this is, okay.
Thank you. My name is Eric Mitchell. I'm here to present this plan. We were before the Zoning Board of Adjustment last week. They recommended that we come to you. They didn't actually take up the variance and special exceptions requests because they needed your input. The input that I believe we're asking for is that we are within the surface water setback to the Piscataquag, which is 100 feet, and we need a variance for that. The reason why we didn't come to you earlier is that the regulation says that, the ordinance says that for relief from the 100-foot setback to wetlands, the zoning board needs your input. And there are places in the ordinance where wetlands and surface waters are treated differently, certainly defined differently. So I apologize for not coming earlier, but we knew that you would get a application through shoreline protection anyway, so we knew you were going to be getting the plans. What I have before for you tonight, I have some large-scale plans. I only have 5 of those, but I have some small handouts. I'd just like to go through what we're proposing to do and have you give your comments to me. Does anybody need like a 11 by 17 versus a large plan? I have large plans.
There, this is it, under the
No,
packet.
this is substation.
That's the bottom of that.
Substation.
The plans before you are related to different plans,
No.
they're not this plan at all.
It's part of the
there.
minutes here.
Yeah, Eric, they received the small one in the mail, unless you've added something different.
I don't know that, there's one thing I think that may have been added.
Do you have
All right, I'll
Oh.
just give you that.
another plan that we can look at here, or
Sure. Small one or big one?
Here's an-
actually a big one?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here's another.
He's got them.
Something's been added, something's been added since we got this one in.
Yeah, yep.
This is not.
Thank you very much.
This is the new one. Did you get
This is
another
the
one?
new one, yeah. Okay. Oh, I got it.
That's,
Just,
so this is updated.
updated. There's another one to go over there too. Couple more. Susan, does everyone need another one? Oh, she's got one.
Oh,
For 3 of us.
I always thought we had 3.
What has been added since,
The plans that were sent to the zoning board initially, which were filed 3 or 4 weeks ago with the zoning board, had a slightly different shape to the house, so the setbacks were a little bit different. I believe the plan that was filed and submitted to you last week is the same here. So the reference that you have in your agenda, which it talks about the setbacks. There's a couple different things that we did on the plan that than what we had for the zoning board. As far as setbacks are concerned, we have a 15-foot setback to the side yard here. The prior plan had the staircase going up on this side, so it was only like a 10-foot setback, but we changed that to the other side of the house. The size of the house before, I believe, was 24 by 32. This is now 30 by 28.
So the red is what is
What you see on the red
existing,
here is the existing house that is out there, the pictures that I gave you.
and the buildings.
Red is the buildings themselves. It's a garage out front, but you have a picture, you can just see where the garage is. There is the house is behind that. This blue line is actually the lot line, so the deck actually goes over the lot line. This is a sewer pump station owned by the town over through here, and there's a fence over here. We have a picture that shows the area between the fence and the house that is actually on town property, not on part of this property. So what you have in red is the house, there's a deck, existing deck in front, and a garage. What you have in green is what we propose for the house, which is pretty much a square with a stairwell to go up to a deck that would be on the front of the building. The property itself is in the 100-year floodplain, so we have to elevate all livable space above that. Currently in the existing house it is not. But there's about a 3-foot difference between the existing ground out there and what the flood elevation is based on the flood information. So the first floor of the house has to be at least 3 feet above the ground. What we're proposing to do here is put a garage under the building, which would be in this area through here, and livable space would be above that. So the livable space isn't just 3 feet above the ground, it'd be closer to 9 feet above the ground. The garage itself is permissible to be in the floodplain, provided that there's louvers or areas for the floodwaters to pass from one side to the other in case there is flood. All of the mechanicals, the heating and ventilation, air conditioning, all those units have to be above the flood elevation, so they would be. So although we show the box, the actual livable space is about 8 to 9 feet above the existing ground that's out there. The deck itself would be off of that, so the deck would be raised in the air about 8 or 9 feet. The proposal that, the way it got written in your agenda is, initially we had, I think it was 26 feet. Right now, the proposed is 21 feet to the corner of the deck, which is above the ground by about 8 feet. But the main part of the building is 30 feet away, which is the rear yard setback. I realize that we're in the 100-foot setback from the surface water. The existing house is 16 feet from the Schaghticoke River. The deck is, that's the deck, and then a little bit more of that. So the majority of the house that's in through here is already above within that 21 feet that we propose. The problem that we have in orienting things on the site is the shape and the size of what the lot is. The lot itself is 6,000 square feet. It is fortunately on sewer and water, so there's not a septic involved or a well location. The Channel Lane comes down through here. It's a private right-of-way, and it is 20 feet wide. That actually, the land underneath it is owned by this lot. It's part of the 6,000 square feet. There's 2 other houses down further which have access. The land on the other side is part of the lot as well, but not really usable for anything. What we propose and have shown is the required 25-foot setback from the edge of the private road, which is in the front. So the building itself is not going to be within the front yard setback. We've shown it so it's not within the side yard setback. But the areas where we are within setbacks, the structure itself is at least 30 from the rear, but the proposed deck, which is above the ground, would be 21. And on this side of the building, The actual building is going to be close to 4.1 feet in the corner from the lot line that's over through here. I am not completely sure how everything got twisted around a little bit in terms of why things were built over the lot line, but it's we've done a survey on it. We're sure these are the lines. It matches everything else in the development in the area. But I think that if this line is pretty much parallel to both buildings that are there, and this line, maybe people thought the line actually came out through here, because even the fence for the town's pump station is way over here. So we have to move onto the property, so we can't be over it. We are trying to stay, so we're not too close to the front yard setback. We're trying not to encroach on this house here. On this side, where it's a town property and a pump station, we have shown us to encroach in terms of zoning setbacks onto the town property. As far as the what is in front where the river is, the 100-foot setback would go all the way back to here that the town already has. So the existing buildings and everything are well within the setback and always have been. We also have an application that we would be submitting tomorrow to the Shoreland Protection Division at DES, as well as applications to come here and to Piscataqua. The elements that we have on that are partly shown in the table here, which is a difference than what maybe you saw on Thursday, but certainly different than what the zoning board would have seen on the plan that we filed there. The lot itself, as I said, is about 6,000 square feet. Impervious areas, which would be all gravel areas, all, there's no pavement, but all gravel areas, all roof areas, and all areas underneath the eaves and the areas under the decks. Existing, we have impervious about 2,600 square feet, which is 43% of the lot. We try to be, with Shoreland, to be under 20%. There are provisions that you can do things between 20 and 30%, and even above 30% if you have a management plan. In this particular case, what we've chosen to do is to reduce the amount of impervious that we have down to about 1,835 square feet, which is 30.6% of the entire lot. The lot being a redeveloped lot with an existing structure is not the same as if it was a vacant lot dealing with shoreland. So the redevelopment waiver requires us to create something that is less non-conforming and try to do it substantially. What we had originally on the plan here, the houses and the deck were about the same, but the driveway through here and the walkway up the side, we had shown as gravel or pavement, which is impervious. But since then, we have shown pavers, the pervious pavers to be here and along the side, and also shown a trench detail for drain down underneath the eaves on this side. On the north side, any drainage off of the eaves would go down toward the pavers. So those are elements that we've done in terms of surface water management coming off the impervious. We also have a couple landscape islands that we propose in the front. As you can see in the pictures that I passed out, pretty much the whole lot that is not buildings or gravel is lawn, lawn area. The picture on the lower left is the lawn area down through here between the two buildings. We have a picture on the lower right, which shows the area along through the front here. You can see the 18-inch oak tree here, and you can see where that is next to where the telephone pole is, which is over through here. As far as the impervious, it's a high number, but something that skews that is the area, although it belongs to the lot, it's included in 6,000 square feet, the area underneath Channel Drive, most of all that is gravel, so it's considered to be impervious. And if this was the lot from here to the water and the roadway, we didn't own the land underneath that, then our percentage would be well below the 30. but it's sort of skewed that way. But we will be submitting the plans to Shoreland. So what we've tried to do, we've reduced the footprint of the building. It was originally just the buildings themselves, the garage and the existing house and the deck was 1,480 square feet. The footprint that we have now of the house itself and the deck is 1,270. So we've reduced the footprint of the roof and the decks, and also reduced the amount of impervious by about 30% to what is out there. That's the proposal. I understand things are tight. We don't have much room to work in, but we're trying to accommodate both the zoning ordinance, the wetlands ordinance, as well as the shoreline protection of the state.
The vegetation in front is mainly lawn, except like you have the oak tree that's in the front, none of that will be removed, or?
The oak tree will stay, and we'll be adding vegetated islands also to the front. Any of the shrubbery, there's a shrub over here, which you can see in the picture on the right. That'll also stay.
What's the height of your retaining wall? You have a wall and some steps.
Let me see if I have that.
And is there presently a wall right there?
Yes,
So
that's
that
the
you're
wall
not gonna
and
be
steps down the
disturbing
river.
that? Mm-hmm.
No, that'll all be there. Let me see if I have a,
That's not changing.
I'm not sure that we took a surface water elevation,
That's
because
what
we
I was
knew that the wall itself was the reference line to use as the state. But the steps going down, there's probably 4 or 5 steps going down to the water. So I imagine it's probably, I don't know if you know what the distance is now?
Actually, I did put a tape, I mean, just a very approximation, I did put a tape measure in the water, and it was approximately about 3 feet in the water. And I would imagine that the actual retaining wall is at least 4'6" to 5 feet.
From the water?
Yeah, into the water, actually, from the ground.
Into the water,
Yeah.
okay. So if the water is 3 feet and then you've got your retainer is you're saying 4.5 feet, so you've got a retaining wall of a foot and a half, I mean, above water, is that what we're saying?
Well, part of it is above water.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's a
a good
sh-
portion
it's a
above
s-
the water, yeah, like if you're on the grass, the retaining wall, I would say is a good 10 inches above the grass area.
So above the water, it's about 4 feet,
Oh, yeah, I would say
And-
at least, yeah.
and it goes down into the water,
Yeah, it
obviously.
does, yeah.
So that the
4
wall
feet above
itself,
water, 3 feet below.
That's what I was wanting to know, just,
That's an existing wall.
That's-
right, no, I knew that, I just was curious.
That's
but I
not
did
gonna
have
be
another
touched at all,
question.
right? The
No,
wall,
no, not at all.
No, it's
nothing
not.
in the front?
No,
Okay.
certainly not, no.
I had another question, though.
Go ahead, everyone.
I guess it's the description of the, underneath the living quarters as a garage, and that you would have flow through. And I don't know, my husband's a handyman, and the stuff he puts in his garage, I'm not sure I'd want the river flowing through. I think that was what I was concerned about, if you have oils or, I mean, it's just what I would think a typical garage might have in it, so I don't know, that was the thing that disturbed me, or would it be better to have it as a carport, so that you don't have piles of stuff? And that was just my concern, because if we are talking about it being right by the water, and we know that this floods through, and we're making it available to go through the garage, most garages have stuff in there you don't want to go into the river. That's what I'm saying. Did that make any sense at all?
If I
if I
could,
may,
I was gonna say, but along the river, the flood regulations, most of those homes that are lifted, it requires that the living space be above the
Yeah.
floodplain and all utilities. Most of those homes that have been renovated and raised, they're basements, they don't regulate what people can store in there. But the thought is that you don't wanna store much, because there's always that.
Think so. but
chance of
okay,
flooding.
Well, that's just
if I may,
thought.
just also one other comment. I realize that oils and gases and paints and everything that you might have in a garage doesn't belong in the water or in the watershed. However, something to remember is that if we are in a flood condition, there's a lot of water. And I'm not dismissing the fact that it's gonna be polluted by whatever may be there, but the amount of water versus what is actually going into is a small amount compared to if somebody was just dumping right into the river.
I understand what you're saying,
And-
but now we're getting into,
I don't know if-
should it
I
be
don't know
there
if
in the
Collis-
first place or not? I mean,
I'd
just.
be more concerned about the cars that
The
might be.
cars that are
Okay.
parked exactly,
Cars
the
that are-
boats and the
okay.
things that are.
All right.
Either I do fire protection for work, and I'm a fanatic about what I have in my basement.
Okay.
I don't have, yeah, I know.
But okay, so
Certainly
it's
not.
just
Yeah.
that, okay.
mainly be car storage.
Yeah, it would be automobiles, yeah.
And Collis may remember that a phrase I was told by one of the division heads at DES was, "The solution to pollution is dilution." I'm not trying to be smart. You maybe even know who said that. I know you know who said it,
I know who said it.
whether he said it, but that's part of my point, is that we're at a catastrophic situation there, and it's different than if it's something just leaking into the river on a
Right.
continuous basis.
Collis?
No proposal for a docking structure?
No, not at this time. I don't really think there'd be anything of that nature. I mean, it's the front retaining wall and something, maybe some type of a removable structure at some point. That would be something we could pull up to, but no, it's actually, as it is now, it's pretty ideal with the retaining wall and whatnot. It's pretty accessible as it is. I think maybe at
For, like,
most,
kayaks.
yeah, I mean, we're mostly kayak people and, rowboat type people. I'm not kind of getting away from all the motored stuff for the most part. More of a pain in the neck, but maybe just like a little thing that you could pull up against that would offer like a buffer for the boat to go bump up against or something like that, but no, not certainly in the future.
Susan?
I guess my comment would be is, it's an existing lot, it has a house on it. They're improving, greatly improving what's already there, as far as the river and as far as the neighbors are. And DES, you're going to DES. DES is going to come with a comment, and it's probably, you're going to be allowed to build on the existing footprint, but this footprint is much better than what the existing footprint, right?
Looking at this plan, I'm seeing it's already been reviewed by DES, and they've already accommodated DES's comments.
Oh.
If I'm not mistaken, Eric.
Well, it hasn't been reviewed, but
But you've discussed it with them.
we've discussed it on other applications with them. This is a redevelopment of an existing lot, and it's happened a lot here in Goffstown and other places along the rivers where they flooded. And you have to make sure that you can make it as much less non-conforming by their standards as you can. And that's why we went with the pervious pavers for the driveway as opposed to gravel or crushed stone or pavement. And it is a redevelopment. So we're in the, moved greatly in the right direction as opposed to what is out there now. It's not the same if the lot was vacant. It was vacant.
Right,
then
right.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's, you're making a big improvement
Yeah.
to the property as it exists with your new structure.
It's
So
actually being moved back farther from the river.
my comment would be positive to this plan.
Well, it is a positive
It is a
plan.
positive
It does
plan.
contain all the different components that DES looks for.
Right.
And making a lot more nearly conforming.
Right.
You
So-
know, it's the primary setback for the building is supposed to be 50, it's 30. But that's a lot better than the,
Right.
whatever it is,
12?
16.
16.
So do we need to make a motion or our
Yeah, to
comments? are
recommend.
To
To the-
recommend
To recommend?
The ZBA, right?
Yeah.
ZBA.
They haven't seen the revised plan, so do you have a revision date that we can, like,
Make a
if they
motion.
make a recommendation
No, I
to
think it's
revise
fine.
plan dated such and such? I'm
Second
looking at
floor,
it, I don't
they
see
could
it.
build like that.
We didn't have on this, but we will, we're sending this up to DES tomorrow. You'll get a copy, and so will
Cause ZBA will want to see the
Piscataqua,
revised.
right.
We'll have to
And
renotice.
we know we had to renotice,
Okay.
because this size has changed. And so that if you want to use the date of the 20th, you can, because I think the original plans were submitted
Before that.
before that.
okay.
Do we have a motion for this plan? Someone want to make a motion?
Move that we approve. Send our recommendation to ZBA that the revised plan is much more in accordance with the spirit of the law and whatever other flowery sentence.
We have no
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Who did
Abstentions?
the second?
David?
David.
David?
Thank you.
He's probably gonna want this
I will take any copies
I was
back.
gonna
that
say, you
don't
want
wanna keep.
this?
Do you want me to keep any of these
Do you
certificates
want me
to
to take
CBA,
these
or are you just gonna submit them?
I'm gonna give them extra
Pictures.
copies anyway.
Okay.
Ellen,
Yes.
take these two first.
Thank you, too.
Anything else?
I'm gonna keep these for now.
Does he want the little one back too?
Another one? Do you want the little ones back?
Yeah, that's what
Whatever
they,
you want,
When you,
reuse them or recycle.
you don't need to see them back, do you, for the shoreline permit, are you satisfied?
I don't need it.
No, okay.
You may receive a copy, I think, of the
Yeah.
notice of the shoreline. That'll come through certified mail, but it'll be the same place.
Okay. We, might as well keep going, right?
Yep.
We need a treasurer, and, somebody wanna make,
Sure.
we can't,
I'm not regular
Karen,
money.
Karen, Susan, Karen.
Take care. Thanks for coming in.
I move we nominate Karen
I'll second,
Cray as the treasurer.
Great.
I'll second that.
Minutes,
Put up or shut up, right?
All those in favor?
last week's, last month they talked.
Oh, he can't
He
do it.
can't because he's an alternate.
Yeah.
He's an alternate.
So we had to redo.
Oh, I understand.
It's really hard to pull off a scam in less than 24 hours.
Take his gold medal away.
Yeah, we took,
An alternate too.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Done.
No.
Okay. Should we give her the thing to read already? There.
Well,
I
I'm
would just
glad
read
that
it
he
if he
shopped
wants
it. We
to.
are getting more money.
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to read it right off the front, you know, that
That says everything.
says everything right there?
Okay, the current balance for the Conservation Commission Current Use Fund with Citizens Bank checking account is $49,353.61. And $323,000 has been put in a CD with People's United Bank. Citizens Bank received a $28,290 deposit. From where?
We didn't put it all in a CD.
Oh, no, the deposit is
Is that the-
probably from, he's put it back in there for the current use,
Okay,
I would assume.
Change of
okay, must be.
use went back in
Yeah,
to
Change of
Citizen?
use. Yeah.
Okay. And the Conservation Commission budget balance is $2,732.43.
Okay.
And dues are due in October
October.
of $540.
Okay, so go right along with that. We have a request from the budget. We need to discuss our budget for 2013.
May I make a motion right now, interrupt you, but
Sure.
say that we pay our dues in October?
Yeah.
You haven't been billed yet, but.
But as
they
soon
will
as
coming.
they,
I checked last.
as
Okay.
soon as we get the bill, can we pay our
Yeah.
dues? I would like to move that.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good. That's done. We don't have to worry about it in February saying, oh,
Okay.
we haven't paid.
So with that, that's about 500 and something. So we say we're roughly 2,000 left over.
2,200.
Yeah. Our budget is around 3,000 for the year. We need to put in a budget for 2013.
Is that what it's been for the last several years?
We went down a little
This
bit
year.
last time, 10%, whatever, when they had ever requested, we went down 10%. Susan, you?
I think we ought to keep what we have there, because we don't know if we're going to get some huge plan that's gonna incur cost to us somewhere during the year, and then we're gonna have, I don't know how we go about getting additional funds to do paperwork and et cetera, because we're pretty good about it. We have, what, 3,000 change budget, and we return, we just don't go out and spend it at the end, we return it at the end of the year, so it goes back in the general fund, right?
Yeah.
And were the
Correct.
committees requested this year to cut again, to cut
They're just,
10%
because
again?
realistically, you're gonna end up probably like, after the minutes, you're not gonna spend probably half of what you had adopted last year. So
But
they
we
were
had-
looking at some sort of, if you could do a reduction.
Right, but we've had a year without much development, with
Right.
much,
Yeah, and
we don't, we
that's
haven't
true,
had
that's
secretarial
absolutely true.
fees, we've really been nothing, but there are other years that we've come close to spending, have need for spending that money.
Yeah.
So I just
Any other concerns, or?
hate to take it all away.
I would agree. I wouldn't be lulled into a false sense of security that, you know, we could cut our budget back to $1,500 and that's hunky-dory. I don't think that's a wise,
Because that's what it'll be next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that low, I would say.
well, whatever.
go like
But I
a little
mean,
bit.
because we don't know what the economy's gonna do. Hopefully it'll turn around and we'll see some stuff. But
Well, besides turning around frequently, don't you have the developers start to move before it really start to turn around? Because they know that there is a time lag between turnaround and when, you know, so, I mean, I would suspect that we're gonna start seeing some movement. Actually, even this year, I think real estate is starting to pick up a little tiny bit.
So, we wanna hold it at 3,000?
I would
I
think.
think you would.
I think we would.
You know, we also, oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Yes, Nick?
Well, I was just looking, in 2011, the budget was 3147, and we expended 60% of it. This year, it's 3147, and as Patty said, we probably won't spend half of it.
Half of it.
How much more of an increase in costs would we have if we get more, what are the increase in costs that we would see if we started having to review more plans?
I do the secretarial part of it, whereas you had a secretary before. Gail LeBrecq just does the minutes, and that's all she does. So you do have a savings with me being involved.
So your question is, what do we spend our money on?
Right, so I'm saying, would it hurt, you know, if we wanted to say a 5% reduction, or, you know, it's 10% is $300, is that something that, you know, the
I
budget
mean, we
could
did that
survive?
last year as a good faith gesture
did.
towards
2,800.
helping to bring things down.
But we've copied plans, we've done other things in the past when it was needed.
Well, sometimes we've needed to replenish our signs that go around
Yeah.
conservation land or that goes around protecting wetlands. We have prime wetlands. I mean, there are other expenses. I think we've always tried to be an extremely frugal committee. We've never gone out, I don't think, and spent, you know, but, and, you know, I suspect that, you know, again, stewardship, just being responsible for, you know, whether we want to have some additional maps. And, you know, we've also talked about just printing guides and leaving them up in the town office, or maybe we want to have a better website. I don't know, that there may be some small expenses that would be, the commission would want to do in terms of enhancing conservation land or getting the information out, education to the town. I don't think it's something, we're not going to go out for ice cream sundaes or, you know,
Oh.
that's, but I mean, I.
You know, and there's
there-
areas where we could look at, you know, putting our cause and our efforts out to the public more, like display boards for Old Home Day, things that, you know, are formally done, you know, nicely put together, and, you know, so there could be some expense there that would help further our missions.
We also used to support a scholarship for the conservation camps. I mean, I think that we've gotten away from a little bit of this stuff, and I think actually maybe this is a good year to start going back and discussing, I think, again, community education or involvement or that type of thing.
Yes.
If I could I suggest then that we put together a sort of a budget or a plan and say that in next year, these are the things we want to do. We want to replace signs at this cost. We want to print brochures at this. This way we have at least a blueprint of what we're doing, and we have a goal for next year as well.
It's a guide too, right, yeah.
Things that we want to do, and it justifies what the budget is.
Do we
Yeah,
need a
we haven't-
subcommittee?
We haven't cruised the boundaries of our easement areas either, and we should be doing that, and there may
Right.
be some costs associated with that as well.
Right. We used to have, I think, didn't we have some white disc or something at one, yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
I-
had some, I mean,
We have
Yeah.
this.
10 years ago probably.
right, but it's been a long, long time ago, and so, well, I think it's a
So-
very good idea.
Yeah.
It looks like we'll just stay with the 3,000 for the,
But,
with-
but I think,
and put a,
Develop a
develop a
I do,
list
so
of,
do you want a little
Like
subcommittee or
goals or
what?
Goals,
Oh,
yeah.
David, what do you want?
When is this, when do they want the budget figure?
yesterday. right?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Well, it shouldn't be hard to put
But the
together.
presentations don't
No.
happen for a
Yeah,
while.
Yeah, I
just-
don't know,
you can-
they've been set up, they've been calendared, I don't remember when Conservation Commission's is.
You make that your vote is to keep it at 3,000, you can state, we see upcoming expenses for the upcoming year of things we'd like to do that wasn't done the past year.
But putting together a $3,000 budget
Just
shouldn't be
that
difficult.
justify why you're doing it.
No.
Well, 'cause a big chunk is
What, yeah,
secretary.
Right, and I think we've been
Yes.
pretty frugal because given the expenses that we've had, we don't
Right.
wanna have to go over it. So we
Right.
haven't done things like buying the signs, posting them, marking our properties. I mean, we haven't done anything with further
Right.
Right.
surveying costs. I mean, there are things we
Well,
we could
used
do
to
a
be,
wildlife, I mean, we could put big money in and have somebody come in and do, what they were looking for, a wildlife survey on some of our land, and we haven't done that.
But for the record, we're not putting big money in anything.
That's
Oh, yeah,
right.
so
Well,
we don't
don't
put
have
big money
I
in.
hate expressions like that, I know it's just an
Well,
example.
we only have $3,000, so.
Right, and one of the things with the printing of brochures, that you can put off towards the end of the year, so if something big
Right.
comes up here, you don't do it this year.
Right.
But
Right.
towards the end of the year, you can say, okay, we can get that
Yeah.
part of the,
Do some brochures for the
goals.
hiking
Right.
trails and things, yeah.
Right, about our properties.
Okay, so do we need a vote on that?
Yeah.
We need a motion.
Oh, the motion? I move that we, we request a budget of $3,000, or what we have had this year, for our next year's budget. What's it, $3,147?
No, it's right, 3,000, I think.
That will include expenses for secretary, for our dues for the Conservation Commission, State Conservation Commission, and that we would like to come up with a little plan of other expenses that we feel we will be taking on this year.
I'd leave out the last part.
Pardon, take off the
And
last
what
part.
other expenses may
Well,
be
I'm saying-
incurred during the year,
There you go.
instead of coming up with a plan so we
Okay.
can figure out how to spend the money.
All right.
You gotta talk the talk.
Will somebody second?
I'll second that. Karen-
All those in
Karen.
favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, open space? David, will,
The grant application that was submitted for the Federal Scenic Byway Program, we are not receiving that grant. It wasn't really due to the application itself. It, just to refresh everybody's memory, the way that program worked was within a state, grant applications are made to the regulating body within the state, and then the state picks its winners of the applicants, and we were number one. So we were the project that the state of New Hampshire chose to move on and then ask for money at the federal level. In previous years, pretty much every state got some money. That's the way it worked. We put the application in January, and we were supposed to hear in March. We didn't hear in March, or April, or May, or June, or July. So we began to wonder, and in the end, New Hampshire didn't get any money.
Did they
So
just
I-
select?
I don't know what other states got or didn't got, but clearly it was a reduction at the federal level on the allocation. So maybe there really is some spending cuts going on. I don't know. Maybe that's the bright side. But New Hampshire didn't get money, and therefore we won't get the grant.
How much was the grant for?
It was for $550,000 to apply towards the Roberts Farm project.
Is there gonna be another opportunity next year, do you think?
I have no idea.
okay, thank
What
you.
does that do to the Roberts Farm project then?
It makes it much less feasible.
How much was that grant request for?
550,000.
Yeah, it's a chunk of change.
Okay. Thank you, David. Minutes? Anybody have any corrections or additions, subtractions? Motion on the minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second?
Well, second.
Susan, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Dana, I wasn't here.
And I wasn't.
And two abstentions. Two abstentions, okay. The update on Orr Street, 3 Orr Street. I think that's, Susan, that's the one you were looking at?
Right. I looked at it.
Okay.
I took a few pictures.
Anything you need
And
to,
it is what it says it is, and the highway department went down there also and took some pictures and made comment. So I guess, we weren't asked to make comment. We have the DES has granted approval to build on the footprint with pilings. It's all written here. But I don't think the deed is, it is not, it's not been purchased yet. I mean, this is all previous to an ownership, right?
All right, the town owns 42-6, which is the 3 Orr Street, which in a letter for someone who was purchasing the property on map 42 lot 7, in that letter it referred to an issue they saw on the abutting property, which is owned by the town. Alex went out from DPW, and I believe you got a copy of his email. It stated that he didn't see any evidence of any real issues, and he said he took some pictures, and that's what you looked at. And that the property that it abuts is currently owned by the bank, and there was someone that was looking at purchasing it to rebuild on the foundation, and they had DES look at the property to see what they could do. I think what you're talking about is the one that, with the deed going through, we were talking about when we were looking at a property before that went to Collis, they were looking at, donating the land to the town of the Tar. That has not gone through, and we don't own that property. That is something that I know Sue was trying to find out whether they wanted the town to acquire the property or not. That's a totally different property than these two.
Right, but that's what I meant. My comment was, I went down and looked at it. It looks like the pictures. I took a few pictures. We have the report. They're not, DES is not asking us for a comment on it, are they?
No,
I
no,
mean,
it's just
so-
at the last meeting when we
Right.
saw that letter and we were like, and there was issues possibly on town property.
Right.
So we
I
want
was
to-
asked to have someone from the town go look at the property, and that's what Alex has done, and he says he doesn't see anything, any
There was
issues with
some
it.
old fill that was placed on the property, and I wasn't sure if it was a violation or not.
Right.
Yeah, it just
Right.
was referred
So-
to in the letter as
So
well, which
DES went out
should
and
have
looked at it
in
and
here
said,
too.
you know what?
So,
It's too old, you can't
Right.
figure out what happened and who did it, and
Right.
okay, so that's,
Lot 6, we think looks great.
Right. Right, no problem with lot 6.
no problem, lot 6. Okay, so we have, map 43, lot 7, Bergeron on the Riverview Park Road is now
He's now in compliance.
compliance. We received something from DES from that. And we have emails from the Rails Trails asking for participation on review of the rail trail to connect to Manchester via the Piscataqua Trail.
Anyone interested in bicycling along with them? That's what they're doing it by.
I don't think so.
I was thinking Amy.
Excuse me, yeah.
I don't have a credit.
We can,
I think we
Volunteer.
need to do a big PR, or the Rails to Trails folks do. The bikers should get off of Mast Road. They now have the rail trail.
okay. We have 2 lot subdivisions planned for map 7, lot 64,
Since when they
Cold
write
Water
Key West,
Realtor
they're not
on
supposed
216 North Mass Street.
Yep, those are the 2 plans, yeah,
These-
that and.
I think they have the plans in front, they have the plans over there too.
Yep.
you.
As part of technical review, you get copies of the plans if you have any comments to pass on. They're before the board tomorrow, both of them.
And which one, are we looking at the
North Mast.
North Mast? This one, this other one.
They're just through.
Did- So this one is a subdivision right off North Mast. It's
Yes.
up near where Tuck's Garden was, Susan.
Yeah.
Lot subdivision.
Two lots. Who's doing the subdividing? Is it the Slattam family?
No, it's Coldwell Realty.
Oh, okay.
NASA, Bob NASA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the one that, they withdrew some of the land out of the historic district.
Oh, okay. So,
Houses.
do we have any comment on this right now? I know on one of the maps, it looked like there's pretty red on one of them, right? This is just a,
Carving out the existing house.
Just the house, 1 acre.
If they were to further subdivide the remaining, it would come back again.
okay. So what should we make for comment on this?
So the plan, I was reading, it's just to subdivide out the house
Carve out
lot,
that 1 acre lot.
the house lot.
I thought that already happened. Didn't happen.
Do they have sufficient, dry access to the rest of it along there? I mean, it shows like they do,
One of
but, I
them's
mean, do
pretty
they
wide,
have
but-
frontage enough to do anything
This one shows
It's interesting,
water.
so they've
For the
cut
remainder of the
out,
lot?
with the remainder?
that's what they've cut out, is that right?
Looks
This
like
is
both
one of the-
sides.
Are they carving out both sides of this house, right?
It's the house.
If you look at
that's
the
house.
front, it shows you the whole layout of it.
Actually,
And this
three,
is-
isn't
this
this
is
the
where-
section here,
where-
213 feet?
Yeah.
That's three.
Look at the
Sections of
very,
the-
this is the,
Yeah, there's still ample frontage.
yeah,
Yeah,
they have it here, they have it here.
Yeah, one of them is wet, one side, this
it's,
side
yeah,
is
it's really
wet.
wet, but they're not
Side is
asking for
wet.
building right now, right?
No.
Nope,
No, so,
So is that supposed to be, I'm having
Do we
trouble
even comment on
seeing
it?
this. So they're taking out, it looks like they're taking out two little chunks on the roadway, one.
one.
Just taking out the existing house.
I guess this is their, they're taking out
And then
this house.
are they leaving, okay, and then
Both
there's
sides.
there's enough dry area to put a road in to access?
Yeah, on both sides, actually.
Okay, on both sides. Dry is here.
Existing driveway.
If you look at North Mast,
yeah,
where the house is, that lot right in the middle,
Or if you look at the little one, yeah.
There,
then there's the area directly to the left and right
yeah.
that are part of that bigger lot. Then towards the right, there are two other lots owned by two other individuals. Then
I
their
get
lot
it. Okay,
extends
now,
again, so there's
all right.
3 separate
Okay,
areas of frontage. The middle one is the wet.
the middle, okay, so
Area.
they have dry access on the one side of the house and on the far side of
so
the
what
lot.
they're doing
Got it.
right now is just breaking it into lots.
One of them showed
Right.
where
They're
they
just
could have a building.
subdividing out the house.
So it's going from 87.4 to 86.4.
Now I got it.
And if they were to further subdivide, you'd see this again with
So,
a,
we have,
it'd just be the house lot will no longer be part of this.
we have no.
Okay, on the last, second to the last page, though, they showed two. If you're looking right at it, the right-hand lot is the one with the wet.
Correct.
Then you've got the house in the middle. And then you've got another lot.
Right,
Not a lot, that's the second piece of that 86 acres.
It wraps around.
around.
it wraps around the side.
Okay,
Just where the
well,
house
what I'm
is coming out.
questioning is that there's the buildable area and the 4K area
See, you've got it broken.
noted on that other.
Yes.
It wraps around here.
So if the rest of that property is to be accessed from Mast Road, it's gotta go through the wet.
If you look at the first page, very first page, Karen, and skip the wet lot, continue towards your right, and you'll see another section that has 213 feet of frontage. That's part of that lot.
It's here.
And they also have to the left of the
They
1
have no
acre
left
lot.
of it.
Okay,
That is
This
dry.
and this.
okay,
Three.
I guess.
all right.
I think the
Yeah, that's
problem
where I should
that maybe
comment
I
on
was having though is just I can find the topo and the wetland marking for the if you're looking at the lot to the left and the wet to the right, but then I can't find the one to the far right. The 213, is that in there someplace?
I didn't see
But you
it.
keep telling us it's drawn, so
I don't know if it's dry, I'm just saying there's another section there.
access, okay, I think
Because
that
it's
would
showing
be,
here.
yeah,
Well,
that
that's
was,
what Karen
I
was
think
saying. It
that's
shows
what
it
we're
way
all
down
saying.
here.
I don't think he included it because he didn't, they're not doing anything in that area. They're proposing a building on this one here.
Well, so is it correct to say that if they know that they have one access that's dry, then that's all they need? Yeah, there you go, okay. So it doesn't matter.
We've gotten burned by that in the past.
Well, if you look at, if you look at the existing house lot to the right in the topo, it looks like they're proposing a shared easement for access to both sides. The existing house and then also the lot on the right. Because there's a detail down here that shows
This was Eric
proposed
Mitchell, he
access.
could have told us about it. He was right here. So what is this request, we're supposed to,
This is technical review. Just going to technical
maybe
review.
it's on the page.
Oh, they
Okay.
see that was the question.
There it is.
They-
Yeah.
That's what he's referring to as down here.
He's gonna put a
So there's
drive.
a shared driveway here,
Looks that
which
way.
they are gonna build in that one too.
Just skirting.
This is a different back.
Here's the existing
Yeah,
driveway
just
here.
easement benefit
Here's the lot line.
764 and one
It's
benefit
showing-
764-1, so there's
Mhm.
cross easements.
Proposed access easement.
but now is that something that would go, that is a planning board decision rather than a conservation decision?
You comment that you have no issues of concerns as with the two-lot subdivision, but if the larger lot is to be further subdivided, at that time, you may have some concerns.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
Yeah,
Second.
If presented, I don't think we have it.
right, because it was just the subdividing.
Right.
But if we,
We'll be seeing it again.
Yeah.
yeah, we will. Okay. And then we have the site plan for PSNH substation, map 17, lot 185 on 705 Mass Road.
There's no substation for place.
Substation.
They already have one there, don't they?
Yeah.
It exists already.
They're moving it back.
Yeah.
Oh,
And they're gonna keep a little bit for satellite in case there's an issue with the one they're building.
Yeah, I think it's longer than this big one. It's easier on the little one. It's way down.
The only comment I've seen coming back to planning is the police department would not like to have it all, the landscaping all remain because they've had 2 fatalities over there. And they wanna
Oh.
be able to see.
So they want the landscaping changed so
So
that
they
it's
can see.
better,
So they can
better
see.
visibility.
Yes.
So,
I'm just curious, was it, and I don't even know what it is, where, is that, was it landscaped that way, or was it just,
grown up,
I think it's grown in.
yeah?
it must be on this page with the
Usually we have
landscapers.
landscaping requirements. They're, I don't
Must
see them
be.
necessary.
So there have been accidents at the substation? Is that-
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember one years ago when someone tried to climb it.
Okay, so our comment on this would be,
It does have impacts in the back. Part of the topo. Putting in a detention pond that feeds back into the wetlands.
oh, this next page.
You're saying that's way up here on the
That's a
left-hand side?
mound,
here?
isn't it? A mound to put the poles up on?
This is going up,
Oh, it's
right?
going up.
Yeah, that's a mound.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see any issues? Little shrubs, these must be.
So maybe we support the comment from the
Yeah, I think that would
Police
Police Department.
Or please, no issues of concern and support the recommendation.
From the police. I mean, what else? That's the end of my packet.
Yeah.
That's, anybody have any other?
There was some discussion, informal discussion. This was not on the agenda of the selectmen's meeting Monday night, but there was some discussion about, if you recall, a while back, we were trying to work with DES, their land agent. Remember, there's a point of land on Glen Lake out behind that substation, that electrical substation.
Oh,
DES, and we were trying to work a 20-year or lease, or they're gonna sell it to us for $1 or something like that. So there was
That's
discussion
the one
about
that was
that again.
abutting the park, on that side of the lake of Glen, no, I'm sorry, on this side of the, yes, I remember that
It's
now.
that point that sticks out.
Yes,
You can see it from the boat
absolutely.
launch. It's
Yes.
that big sandy bluff.
Right.
And I think we ought to pursue that again, because that's adjacent to the rail trail, and that would make a great, we talked about that, I don't remember, everybody remembers this, what a
Yeah,
great
I
spot
remember
that
that.
would make, to stop and have a lunch when
Right.
you're on the rail trail and look out over the lake. And
yeah.
there's actually a trail that runs all the way along the top of the bluff, from there all the way back to the dam, which is a really nice trail, so I think we ought to
Pursue that.
pursue that, see what's going on. I know DS would love to get rid of it.
DES is, do you think?
And the police department, I know, that's why it came up, because the police department's concerned, because there's been a lot of activity out back there.
I wondered about that.
And, but it's not owned by the town, so the
They can't do
police
anything.
department can't do
Authority
anything
over it.
about it, but they'd like to be able to do something about it, but, you know, so I think there's a lot of moving pieces here that might come together to help acquire that.
So does that mean
Gotcha.
sending a letter, or is having somebody as a representative from our Conservation Commission contacting the, public service, right? There was.
DES.
DES. Oh,
DES
my.
owns it. Yeah.
Well, call us.
Well, and we did, I made contact with Mark Stevens, he's the land agent, and he proposed, said, hey, we'd love to get rid of it, we have no use for it.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
If you could use it, we'd be happy to
So we
basically
could
give it away.
purchase that with some of the money, that dollar
Well,
from.
Well,
$3,000.
I think it's a
Put that in the,
dollar.
put that in the budget.
From our $3,000.
$1.
$1.
Dollar
There you
land
go.
purchase.
So we need a formal letter from us to him
Do we need a formal
requesting
letter to DES?
Yeah, I think we should send a letter to DES.
that we're interested.
We're interested in negotiating for the purchase of that piece to
Do we
acquire
need
it and attach it or make it a part of or an amendment to our rail trail system.
Is that something that you need a copy of the map that shows that piece of
Yeah,
property?
I think just a brief letter to DES, just opening up
enough?
the conversation and saying, you know, we'd like to meet.
Just a question, should the letter go from us to DES or from us to the Board of
Well, I think
Selectmen
it-
recommending that the
Yeah,
board?
I think that would be more appropriate. Let's,
Yeah.
leapfrog over the board.
If you want to be part of the
And then
rail
we-
trail.
We just do it as a memo to the board saying, we understand that, you know, there's an opportunity. We'd like to we'll be willing to take the lead. If the board would support that, and we'd be happy to open up discussions with DES on acquiring a piece.
That's good.
Well, that'd be great, because I think the police would probably like to be able to
Oh, yeah.
keep track of
Oh,
that, yeah, right.
And it's a really nice spot.
Where is this? I missed this, where this
I
was.
don't think I've ever been there.
If you're standing at the boat ramp and you look straight across and slightly to the right, Angel Point is the house that sits up there. It's right across from there. It's a little cove that goes in back. It's on the other side of the cove. Big sandy
I
bluff that
never-
goes
no, I know
up. She's
exactly
gotta go
what
up
it is. I never
35,
realized
40.
it was a DES owned.
Yeah, that's
Piece
the
of
point
property.
out there. I have no idea why. It must have been something to do with the dam and the
Must have been.
whatnot. It was a
think-
leftover piece.
Yeah, it was a leftover piece, and we tried to acquire some Fish and Game got below the dam,
Yeah, Fish and Game now owns,
below the
Below.
dam, and there was, that was at the same time that all this discussion came up. And nobody could decide who owned it or where it was, or.
well, we know who
it-
owns it, yeah.
Yeah, it was in limbo at that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, so I think a memo to the board
Okay.
would be appropriate.
Do we have any other issues, concerns? Okay, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, next meeting date?
Next meeting would be,
The fourth Wednesday. Wait a minute, I
whatever
have
it
my
is.
No more holidays.
September.
This is mine. Take this home. This is
Fourth Wednesday, the 26th.
Yep, this 26th, September 26th.
Okay,
Okay,
Anybody-
motion to adjourn.
great. Motion to adjourn, second. Adjourning,
Well done, Andrew.
all done.
Evelyn, have you been by Barnard Park recently?
I have.
Give it one, or if you
Seen
wanna
the
give it to me, I'll
sun shelters?
Yeah, I did.
I like them very much.